things we tell ourselves.
And now this is one that I didn't really want to talk about this because, like, fuck Hunter Biden's stories. It's so annoying, but, like, it's fairly
Alexa,
new.
please look up Hunter Biden's laptop.
You want to see his dick?
No, it's a TikTok.
I don't know.
But apparently Marjorie did.
Yeah, she repeatedly.
Apparently Marjorie's got a thing for that kind of thing. So much so she had to announce it to the world.
Mm-hmm. Multiple times. So, yeah, if you recall, the whole Burisma prosecutor in Ukraine was corrupt and got fired, that Biden called for him to get fired or whatever. This whole thing was like, oh, they were going to bribe the Bidens to, you know, push through legislation in the states that would be beneficial to them or whatever. Like, that was the whole thing. It came from a single FBI source who has now been charged with lying about Biden bribe claims. So, like, the entire Hunter Biden is being paid by Ukrainian companies to do good things for Ukraine through his father. That whole thing is based on not the laptop, but this one guy that snitched to the FBI and then has been found out to have been lying. Sorry, allegedly lying. He hasn't been convicted yet, but he's been charged. So, an ex-FBI informant has been charged with making false statements about an alleged bribery scheme involving Ukrainian company, President Joe Biden, and his son Hunter. Alexander Smirnov is accused of lying about the Bidens accepting payments from energy firm Burisma. He gave false statements to the FBI because he disliked President Biden, not because they were true. So there's a 37-page indictment released on Thursday. Special counsel David Weiss accused Mr. Smirnov of providing false derogatory information to the FBI about Mr. Biden and his son in June of 2020. This information was provided after Mr. Biden was cemented as a Democratic presidential candidate ahead of the 2020 election, prosecutors said. So it's very, very well timed for a smear campaign. And it was also after Mr. Smirnov had already expressed publicly that he didn't like Biden. So Smirnov claimed that in a series of meetings in 2015 and 16, Burisma officials said they hired the president's son, Hunter, to protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems. Smirnov claimed that the company had paid $5 million each to Biden and his son, so that Hunter will take care of all those issues through his dad. But in reality, Smirnov had only spoken with Burisma officials in 2017, which was after Biden was no longer vice president. And it was also after the Ukrainian prosecutor general had been fired in February 2016. So, like, that's the whole bribe thing. It was supposed to be bribing Biden to put pressure on Ukraine to fire that prosecutor general who was looking into Burisma. So, like, no, he wouldn't have had any way of knowing that prior to 2017, which is when Biden was no longer in office. So, like, even if there were business dealings that were like, oh, let's give Joe Biden and his son $5 million now, neither of them were in public office, so, like, it doesn't matter. It's just businessmen doing business at that point. Donald says Alexander Smirnov, no relation to Yakov. And everybody's making vodka jokes in my chat. So, in other words, when Joe Biden had no ability to influence U.S. policy and when the prosecutor general was no longer in office, the indictment stated. Prosecutors added that Mr. Smirnov transformed his routine and unextraordinary business contact with Burisma in 2017 and later into bribery allegations against Joe Biden after expressing bias against the president and his candidacy. So what's funny about this is that this is the main piece of evidence that Republicans in Congress latched onto to try and do their impeachment thing of Biden. This is where the whole thing stems from. And
it's confusing to me that this is what, like, so when we talk about impeaching Trump, we almost always have a whole bunch of really concrete things. Like, these are the things he did in office.
Here's a recording of a phone call that literally everybody has heard where he says, I just need you to find me more votes.
Yeah, we bring up substantive things that we can go, yeah, no, these are not things that are becoming of a presidential candidate. Like that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what ends up getting brought up on the left. And then when it's Biden, when it's impeachment specifically, it's, well, you got to put on your tinfoil hat real quick. And if you put it on just right, you'll get the radio frequencies from the aliens that say that Biden did this with the Ukraine.
Yeah. So we basically got the story covered. But my favorite part of all of this is that Smirnov made his allegations to the FBI. The Republicans found out about it somehow. I forget the details as to how that happened, but like they demanded that the FBI turn it over to them, and the FBI was like it wasn't classified, but they were like, it's unverified and it's really sketchy, and we weren't even going to investigate it because it's so like there's nothing there. It's so very obviously just this guy who doesn't like Biden wants to get Biden in trouble. But because the Republicans made such a big deal out of it, that's why this whole thing happened. Like, he would have gotten away with like the FBI just dismissing him as being like, oh, this is just another crazy crank calling in with a fake tip. But because the Republicans made such a big deal about it, they're actually like, there are a bunch of like memos from Republicans to other Republicans about this thing that are like in the indictment, where they're like things that Republicans have said about this guy's claims are being used as evidence against this guy now. So like, he's their baby, and they have now just thrown him to the guillotine.
Boy. Why do we live in this era of electoral politics? Why do we? I'm just curious, Rhina. Can you tell me? Aside from we just have to be born in a time where we have to deal with Trump's presidency and then all this shit. That's not a satisfying enough answer to me.
I don't know, but the last news story is a bit more fun, though, if you want to move on to that. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention the last one. The previous one was... Oh, God damn it. It was sent to me by a person who requested to remain anonymous, so I could have gotten away with just forgetting that time, but I remembered that you didn't want to be remembered.
Okay.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie Chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.